deaf population in Nepal, and any country for that matter like Nepal, are always, if not always, in most cases, skeptical of foreign donations. Right? Basically, left had this tradition that foreign donations are always attached with imperial and colonial ambitions and projects and missions and ambitions. But is that the case with BRI? Is that the case with BRI? That's a very important question. And we need to, the first important question we need to answer is, if BRI comes with imperial and colonial ambition, we should certainly not be hesitating to oppose it. But is that the case? Like we have opposed many projects in that sense, because there are many projects that World Bank initiated, IMF initiated by USA and European Union agency. They had a very clear, explicit, unambiguous colonial and imperial ambitions. And that should certainly be something which we should resist. But is that the case with BRI? And I argue BRI is the global, the first thing is, what is distinctive about BRI is the greatest global project in human history. One of the greatest project was Marshall Plan, project of reconstruction. At least Marshall Plan did not have colonial or something ambition, people can argue, but that certainly had the objective of controlling Western Europe. Right, but that actually contributed to the development of destroyed Western Europe that was destroyed by the Second World War. But the project that we have, the BRI, the largest global project in human history, it doesn't have imperial and colonial ambition. If you look at the theories and philosophy of BRI, it is very clear. And if you look at the practice, that is also become very evident. And the second thing is, BRI transcends civilizations, nationalism, ideology, and political system. Any political system, whether it be a brutal dictator or a democratic or a communist or a non-communist, can be a part of BRI. So that is the theory, and that is also the practice. Oh, it is not based on superiority of civilizations and inferiority of others. Like, for example, all Western projects, without any exception, let me emphasize this, all Western projects funded by Americans and British and French and German have this implicit or explicit objective or articulations of being superior and then positing us as inferior. That was the civilizing mission of colonialism. The colonialism was rationalized in British political discourse by saying that colonization will civilize people, this uncivilized people. That's why the term Indian, if you look at the word Oxford Dictionary, the term Indian is used for uncivilized tribal people living in the forest without any human life. So they have this very evident, unambiguously clear intention of civilizing, means colonizing people, but I do not see any element of that in BRI, right? So this is called, and then Western scholars and intellectuals and media have been emphasizing on class of civilization. And this is not a surprise that US has declared China as an enemy, Russia as an enemy, North Korea as an enemy, and Iran as an enemy. But very interestingly, the BRI document does not mention any country as an enemy. Even the Philippines, which has frequent skirmishes with China, right, as you know, does not, they do not mention Philippines as an enemy. So even NATO countries have been the part of, part of the BRI. And then if you look at the distinctive nature of BRI and the Western donation, it's very clear. All Western donations come with a string attached, and these strings are so powerful. They actually are so much powerful, they actually want to suffocate your freedom. They do not allow you freedom. If you look at what are the conditions of MCC, they openly say that we cannot change even a comma and full stop in MCC document. But if you look at the BRI documents, there is ample room for negotiation. There is ample room for negotiation on any matter, on financial matter, on the design of project, and there have some Western scholars have even documented that even local governments, our municipality, can participate in negotiation. Okay, this road should go this way or that way, and the bridge should be constructed here, not there. They can participate in that negotiation process. That is one distinctiveness. And the BRI does not come with the idea of regime change. And if you look at the Western, the part of the Western foreign policy, if you do not like a government or a prime minister or a president, he must be overthrown. The regime should change. And if you cannot change the regime, assassination attempts should be made. That's a very open policy of the United States. They have been assassinating people who actually do not agree with their interests, who are bar on their interests. So assassination ranging from regime change to assassination and interference in the external affairs. So this is another distinctiveness. And if you look at the document, it is very clear. And I was studying how many governments, how many regime has been changed by the Chinese government. 0. How many assassinations have been attempted by Chinese government? 0. But if you look at how many assassination and regime change policy have been implemented by the United States, France, and the United Kingdom in last 30 years, you will be surprised to see the number, right? And this does not include soft too, right? Okay, then that is very important. And then the flexibility, I was really surprised by the flexibility that the BRI permits, one of the largest global project in human history. I was comparing that, funnily, I was comparing that with my local cooperatives. They call themselves Amashamba. And they are not flexible. They are so rigid on their interest rate. They are so rigid on the terms of payment and repayment. And they have actually exploited a huge number of population in the local area. But they call themselves Ama cooperative. But look at the flexibility that BRI actually permits, and you will be surprised, right? And then if you want to understand the flexibility that have actually been implemented in different part of the world, you can Google that, right? So in this context, so BRI seems to be a very unique kind of project. And China is not the same country that it was 30 years ago. Nepal is not the same country that it was 30 years ago. And the world is not same it was 30 years ago. The world had changed, China had changed, Nepal had changed. And in this change constraint, BRI offers a tremendous amount of opportunity. And the opportunity are not limited to creating 1 or 2 industries, creating 1 or 2 infrastructures, opening of 1 or 2 universities. No, that is a very small thing that any country do in the world. If we implement BRI, it can bring about epochal change. I'm emphasizing epochal and historical change that can bring about. It can tremendously, enormously, structurally transform Nepalese economy and politics. That is the opportunity associated with BRI. One country, Japan can give us a one or 2 industries. Japan can establish 1 or 2 universities or colleges. But that's a very, if you compare that with the BRI, that BRI can bring. And I'm not saying that being biased towards BRI, but if you look at some African nations, Latin American nations, which have transformed in these 20 years with the Chinese investment, you will be surprised. Ethiopia, one of the poorest country in the world, like 20 years ago, Ethiopia was one of the poorest country in the world. But now Ethiopia is transforming so rapidly that its growth rate is 6 or 7%. And there are many other nations which have joined BRI and benefited very heavily. Oh, of course, there are certain criticism, and they have some merits. There are a few criticism about BRI. We should also look into that. But let's first start with what the prospects are. And the prospect that BRI bring to Nepal is not only economic, but it will have a very enormous, tremendous, and then very important political consequence. For example, Western countries and India have been exercising their hegemony for quite a long time in Nepal, right? Since the Treaty of Sugoi, and then starting from the Treaty of Sugoi, British India, and now independent India. Now all of us have experienced that, all of us are feeling that India dominates us as a big brother, calling us a small brother. But what happened when we start successfully implementing some part of BRI, not all 100% BRI, then there are colleagues, then there are scholars who do not call them Marxist or a left, but they have done the analysis that if we implement them very successfully, then what happens is Nepal's international status will be drastically changed. Once you start implementing BRI and then do your economic transformations, India cannot exercise its hegemony as it used to be exercising. or as it is exercising now. Western nation cannot exercise their hegemony as they have been exercising now. And Nepal should not be relying entirely on Asian Development Bank and IMF and World Bank and other capitalist institutions for the money that we desperately need. So we have alternative, we have more freedom, we have more flexibility, and by exercising more autonomy, our sovereignty will scale up. Sovereignty is not a thing like yes or no. Sovereignty is measured in continuum, like starting from 0 to 10 or 100. So our dependency, we can actually, our dependency can be countervailed. So let me now, with these two many things, then I would like to talk on or discuss why BRI has stagnated. That's what surprises many people. Okay, if BRI brings so much enormous amount of opportunities and prospect, then why is BRI so slow, so sluggish, stagnated? Then so I again want to see the things from the perspective of capitalist world system, dynamics of capitalism. As we know, India does not want China to be coming here and doing development work. It's not my accusation and allegation. If you look at the 2018 documents, that they had a Parliamentary Foreign Affairs Committee, and the committee actually wrote this document and saying that China has increased its presence in our neighborhood, in our backyard. We are backward for India. We are not an independent sovereign nation. We are just a backyard. My gosh. So, and then has increased its investment in our backyard, so we should be increasing our India. We should be increasing our investment in India, China, Nepal and Bhutan. And they increased the investment by twofold in that year. So India is alarmed because China is coming here. India is alarmed because China is being a very close friend of Nepal. So that doesn't sound good. That doesn't sound like a good neighbor. That doesn't sound a neighborhood first policy. Because if someone wants to come here and help us, India is alarmed, and everybody knows that. I do not need to produce many evidence on that. And the other thing is, Western countries actually who have been exercising hegemony, even during Panchayati era and after the restoration of democratic era, then do not want us to be close to China, do not want us to be friend to China. The simple reason is they have declared China as their enemy. It's not my allegation. If you look up their security department, Department of Homeland Security and Department of Defense, it is very obvious. They have declared China, and they have a very explicit and open policy of encircling China, containing China, and restoring their own leadership in Indo-Pacific region. That's why they came up with the Indo-Pacific. That's why they come with the MCC to have some hold in Nepal. So if this is the case, my understanding is the BRI project are stagnating or they are sluggish in their movement. It's not because of other small things like bureaucratic delay or procrastinations or some of our leaders are not interested. The principal reason, the fundamental reason, the decisive reason has to do with how India sees us, how Western power want to maintain their control, hegemonic control in Nepal. That is the first thing. And my suggestion is, if you want to bring BRI, right, then you should prepare yourself or ourselves, we should prepare ourselves intellectually and politically to countervail, my word is countervail, to countervail this Indian and Western pressure. So if we are ready for that, then perhaps the possibility for speeding of BRI will open up. Otherwise, we will end up blaming bureaucratic procrastination, or some leaders are not interested, or this leader does not have a vision. We do not understand the principal cause, the actual cause, and we deviate ourselves towards the minor cause, which actually are not the principal cause. So thank you for giving me time. I'm sorry if I have taken 1 or 2 minutes more.
Embassy of Nepal to China to participate in some of the important events, activities, also give us give our center some books, even include Nepalese language dictionary. Nowadays, I put this dictionary in a very important place of my office, and also he supports us to participate some of the seminars or conference which was organized by our center or some of my colleagues. Thank you so much. And Today, my topic of my presentation is China-Nepal Belt and Road Cooperation in the global economic landscape. And I think the current global economic structure is that, in essence, this current global economic landscape is characterized by the fact that the whole world is striving to produce goods that can be purchased with the US dollars, while the United States is responsible for printing US dollars. And what's happened? Okay. And the US dollar is the world's most important reserve currency and the currency for international trade settlement. The majority of international trade is priced and settled in US dollars, especially for the international trade and financial transactions. As a result, other countries can only earn US dollars by exporting goods and services to pay for imported goods, repay foreign debts, or maintain their foreign exchange reserves. This model enables the United States to obtain global resources at a relatively low cost, while the other countries rely on exporting to the United States to sustain their economic growth. And the ways and approaches for other countries in the world to earn more dollars, the countries in the world can only fully utilize and explore their competitive advantages in natural resources, labor resources, and geographical location to participate in international competition and offer more competitive products and services to the international market so as to earn US dollars. The following as a main way for other countries to earn dollars. Just first, earn dollars through the international trade. Yes. Some countries export goods and services to the US or global markets by leveraging low labor cost or resources abundance. And secondly, through the trade of oil and other backed commodities. And the third is by attracting foreign investments. Yes, other countries acquire dollars by attracting investments from US and other foreign countries. And the fourth, I think, is through the security investment. Yes, foreign investors purchase financial assets like stocks and bonds of other countries, thereby generating dollar inflows to those countries. And fifthly, through international aid and international borrowing. Yes, into the sixth, through the tourism industry and the remittance from the overseas workers. Some countries earn US dollars by attracting international tourists. Moreover, in some countries, workers in the US Gulf countries in the remit US dollars back to their home countries, which serve as an important source of foreign exchange. And in the next, I want to hear how Nepal can take advantage of its comparative advantages to earn more dollars. Firstly, Nepal is rich in natural and cultural tourism resources, including abundant cultural heritage and religious sites. Along with this, Nepal holds a unique position in the global tourism market as a popular destination for adventure activities. This generates a huge earning from the tourism industry. And secondly, I think exporting electricity with vast untapped hydropower potential. Nepal collaborates with China, US, and India and other countries to develop its hydropower infrastructure and export surplus electricity to neighboring countries like India, Bangladesh, and some other South Asian countries, and even as well as China. Yes, certainly Nepal is located between the two huge markets, China and India. and to serve as a bridge connecting the South Asia and East Asia. Nepal can make full use of these two advantages to develop labor-intensive industry and earn foreign exchange through the exporting with the labor cost, no labor cost. And fourthly, remittance from overseas workers. That's net number of Nepalese labor forces, because Middle East, India, Malaysia, and other countries which have become an important source of dollars. Fifthly, through the international aid, Nepal accepts aid program from the foreign aid program, such as the U.S. funded $500 million in CC grants. But nowadays, this is what's hot debate in Nepal and other countries. You know, we're knowing that when the Trump assumed office as the prime minister of the U.S., he suspended or the U.S. aid to the world as well as in Nepal. So this have a very bad effect to the Nepalese people, and so there is an editorial of Kasthamandap Post that this editorial reminds that Nepal's need to rethink its old dependence on the external. It's time for Nepal to find a way for self-reliance. Yes. And next, I just want to share that China-Nepal BRI cooperation can do say that Nepal's comparative advantage in the socio-economic development through the Belt and Road Initiative. China had helped Nepal to improve its infrastructure, expand its export market, upgrade its industrial capacity, and reduce its dependence on foreign exchange through the financial cooperation. Yes, and but in the trade partner, those measures has not only enhanced the international competitiveness of Nepal's goods and services, but also generates more foreign exchange in United States dollar and boosted its economic development. Yes, there are some ideas that former ambassador of Nepal to China, Mr. Nilamani, said Nepal should look China from Nepalese eye, not from other eyes. Yes. Yesterday, the professor Sangrona also said Nepalese scholar, yes, prizes the Belt and Road Initiative as a model of economy development. And finally, next part, I just want to share some of my suggestions for China and Nepal cooperation under the BRI framework. And the first is, I think, is promotion the eco-industry cooperation. Nepal is located at the south part of the Himalaya and has a diverse climate. Such a climate and soil are suitable for the development of the organic agriculture and export organic products, and such as tea, coffee, and spicy. Yeah, the Chinese government work reports in 2025 proposed to vigorously boost consumption and expand the domestic demand in all aspects. And so, therefore, China and Nepal can further strengthen cooperation in ecological agriculture, provide modern agricultural technology, irrigation facilities, and agricultural products, precision technology to help Nepal improve the quality and the added value of characteristics products, such as tea, yes, and then exports them to the China. In the next adjustment to digital economy and e-commerce cooperation is supporting Nepal to build digital promotes cooperation and cross-border e-commerce platform, help Nepalese explore the Chinese market and help Nepalese high-quality products enter the Chinese market. This is very important as good products, a good platform to promote them to the world. And this is the last part, but I think it's also very important. The Chinese-Nepal cooperation to build a hydropower plus technology industry clusters. Nepal has abundant hydropower resources in the development of high technology industry with high power consumption, such as data center, cloud computing, semiconductors, manufacturing, battery production. Yes, can not only make full use of this clean energy, but also promotes the upgrading of its industry chain. The first is just basically the construction of a stable and efficient power supply system. This is a preconditions for that way. It is necessary to speed up the hydropower development and the power grid upgrading. Yes, and through this cooperation, yes, give a more construction of large-scale hydropower stations. Yes. And the next is that development the hydropower class sign in the technology industrial clusters. The hydropower plus technology model is not limited to power generation, but can also be extended to smart grids, digital management, clean energy equipment manufacturing, and other fields which can promote the upgrading of Nepal's local industrial chain, create job opportunity, promotes technology transfer and talent training through the hydropower exports. Nepal can increase foreign exchange earning, improve the trade deficits, and improve the regional economic status. And next, I just want to share that the construction of green data center and arithmetic center, taking advantage of the abundance of lower cost hydropower resources. Super net-scaled data center can be built around Kathmandu or Pokhara to meet the cloud computing and AI training demands of South Asia. China and Nepal can work together to transform Nepal into a green computing power center in South Asia, provide data hosting services for power deficient countries like India, Bangladesh, and some other countries by integrating into the China-Asia digital economy network through the digital Silk Road. The markets can be expanded. And developments of new energy material manufacturing rely on hydropower resources. The layout of the clean energy industry chain, such as the lithium battery and the hydropower energy equipment, is been made. Okay, let's see. It's been made. For instance, efforts are being made to attract Chinese battery enterprises such as Cantor to invest in building material production bases. And this is semiconductors and electronic components production for the high energy consuming process of water cleaning and eating in semiconductors manufacturing. A pilot production line will be set up in Nepal to gradually cultivate a local technical team through joint research and development between China and Nepal. Special chips suitable for high altitude environments, such as low temperatures sensors, will be developed. Yes. Nepal can leverage its hydropower resources and adopted energy industry digital training strategy to transform from traditional agricultural countries into a regional high technology node. China can help Nepal achieve green industry value added through the technology exports, infrastructure investments, and market-oriented cooperation. At the same time, it is necessary to pay attention to local benefits as so as to form a sustainable high technology industry ecosystem. Okay, thank you.
It was the academic research paper he has presented. Thank you, Dr. Tu. I would like to invite Dr. Mahesh Maske for the next panelist. Dr. Maske is a public health expert and a diplomat. He was a former ambassador of Nepal to People's Republic of China. Coincidentally, he was my predecessor of the ambassador in China. He studied medicine in India and public health in the United Kingdom. Earned a doctoral degree from USA. He served as a Nepal's ambassador to China from 2012 to 2016. And was chief advisor to the Deputy Prime Minister and the Minister for Health from 2006 to 2007. Dr. Maske has chaired the South Asian Forum for Health Research and worked with international organizations like WHO and IPPNW. He founded the Nepal Public Health Foundation and has shared his knowledge on the Belt and Road initiatives at global conferences. Dr. Maske has traveled widely across China and visited more than 20 countries, and he has not mentioned, I would like to mention that he is the left scholar in Nepal and the editor of Bampanta, the leftist journal. With this introduction, I would like to welcome you, sir. Please, time is yours. Same to
Mr. Chair, सुनिने रहेछ मेरो स्वर अलिकति कमजोर छ So, distinguished speakers on the dais, distinguished participants, friends. This is my pleasure to be invited to this August gathering and the forum for discussion of Belt and Road Initiative. Actually, we have been discussing Belt and Road, since past 8 years, let's say. In 2016, when I was the ambassador in China, Nepali ambassador to China, and we signed a very historical, agreements. And there also the framework of BRY was mentioned. The MOU has not been done, but it was mentioned in that. If you look at the joint statements, it is mentioned there. So since then, many events have happened. MOU has signed, and very recently the BRI cooperation framework has also been signed. But still, there are lots of challenges. Therefore, I want to go through very quickly, because my distinguished speakers, former speakers before me, have elaborated, in a detail about the importance of BRI. And also, I would try to tell you a kind of story of my own experience with BRI. So, when I took office in 2012, it was the year of the dragon in China. And many Chinese believe that something great will happen in China in the year of dragon. And indeed, I think it was the coming of Xi Jinping, who became the general secretary that year, and then later the president, that brought a sea change in policies of China. And in 2013, it started. Sorry? It's okay, KYS actually. Okay, this one. So in Kazakhstan, there's Belt and Road Initiative. It was first called One Belt, One Road. It was declared there. And then, as Dr. Prasai has also said, it came as a development push in the history, which made the US Marshall Plan of reconstruction of Europe after Second World War pales into insignificance. It is such a huge project BRI is becoming that even the Marshall Plan pales into insignificance. So there's many economic and cultural cooperations, and BRI seems destined to play its role in making of Asian century. So we all know about the Chinese proverb, Tai Quang Yang Hui, that is, hide your strength and bide your time. It was very popular in Deng Xiaoping's time. But with the declaration of BRI, it seems that China has now taken this step to show, to say that its time has come, and it is openly asserting many of the things that you have seen in global politics and geopolitics. About 150 countries have joined BRI, and interesting is that, as Dr. Prasad has emphasized, the BRI policy seems to be a win-win strategy. It wants to have cooperation with other countries, but both the countries has to have a winning strategy. If there is a win-lose, then the cooperation cannot last very long. That is the principle of BRI, and the BRI should be evaluated, tested, and judged in that principle. We also know that it is a rethinking of the ancient Silk Road, when you say Belt and Road Initiative. And if you look at this map, you'll see that there's a, in that map, you'll see there's one line that goes, that's the ancient Silk Road, the red line. And there are smaller faintly red lines that goes, that is also ancient Silk Road there. But there is a line that also goes through Nepal from China, let's say. But if you look at the modern map of Belt and Silk Road, there is the green line that is ancient Silk Road is going on. There are new 6 economic corridors are also there. You can see in the brown lines. But what we don't see is that line that goes from China through Nepal is not seen here, So this is something of an interest. I think our Chinese friends who have come here as a think tank organization with China, I request them to look at these issues and inform their government also, because we are thinking of Nepal-China economic corridor, which goes through that. And it's especially interest because with the recent research, it has been said that there are 3 branches of ancient Silk Road that passed from Nepal to sort of India, going through Kapilvastu. And this has been researched by Margaret Kleba and Susan Haidia of Cambridge University and Mukagawa University of Japan. They have done this research on the mummies of Mustang Cave, and they have found those dyes and silk clothes, those mummies that wore, and therefore they have inferred that the Silk Road trade was going through the Mustang and there, so that was very much evident. But they also said there are at least 3 roads that pass in the east, middle, and the west of China. It is in the internet, you can see this. So the southward branch of Silk Road is what we are all talking about between Nepal and China cooperation of Belt and Road. Now, I can also want to give a little bit of criticism of BRI, and this is a cartoon in which it seems like China's grand plan to conquer the world, and there's a string of pearls throughout the Indian Ocean and things like that. And the debt trap of Hamanatota, I heard it yesterday also being discussed and like that. But we also know that they didn't carry any weight of all this criticism. The Hamanatota The Sri Lankan themselves are now saying what is the real story behind that. So what I want to say is that Chinese are acutely aware that if there is not a win-win cooperation between the two countries, then any cooperation will quickly, turn into a conflict. So therefore, I think Chinese are very accurate, very cautious about this, how to make the other country, the other partner, in equal footing, not to exploit them. So therefore, it is for the other countries to understand that situation and see what kind of planned proposals they put forward to Chinese. And that's where Nepal has also had to prepare itself to deal with China in that terms. So what are the opportunities and challenges for Nepal? So we have already taken 3 major steps. The first I have mentioned. The second, in 2017, the MOU was signed. And then also there were so many progresses in between. And latest, in 2024, a BRI cooperation was also signed. And in that time, if you remember, there was a big discussion in Nepal whether to take a grant only or go for loans, and the Nepal government has apparently, it was taken a stand, when it was going to China for negotiation, to say for BRI, Nepal wants only grant, and if China doesn't provide grant, probably the framework cooperation cannot be signed. So that was the kind of debate at that time. But later on, in China, they negotiated and they came to the terms, they agreed to the terms AIDS financing assistance. So what is this AIDS financing assistance? And even then, when they came back, the delegation came back, there was some confusion. People were saying, oh, we have not talked about loans, and we have talked only about grants, and we are not going to take loans. We'll take only grants. Again, that sort of thing we hear when the delegation came back. But you see, one thing we have been telling throughout these years, that if Nepal wants to have cooperation with BRI, we have to prepare ourselves to take loans. We can negotiate the interest rate of the loan. We can tell them, give us the lowest interest rate. They have given in African countries. We are neighbor joined by our boundaries, and we are such a for ancient time we are such a close neighbors and friend. Why can't China give us a very low interest rate comparable to ADB and others? That is the kind of thing. But if we say we don't take loans, that it goes against the principle of BRI, and that means indirectly we are saying we don't want to participate in BRI. I don't think we should make that mistake. So with this AIDS financing assistance, now Nepal has taken a step, and there is the provision of loan, but Nepal has to negotiate that how much loan, what is the percentage, and now with the Trump coming in America, it is pulling all this, from USAID and others, and so many, even World Bank and IMF, it is pulling out. Even from NATO, it may come out, So for Nepal, tomorrow, we have to deal with Chinese, and we cannot think of only grant for our development. We have to think of loans. So it should be our skill to negotiate in very low interest rate. That is what I want to say to the policymakers of Nepal. And I'm often asked also, what is the benefit of BRI to Nepal? With all these connectivities, train, road, fiber optics and like that. So my answer is, it depends on whether or not Nepal has a development strategy and plan to boost economy while preserving her environment and ecology, and has determination to utilize her comparative advantage. Do we have a plan? That has been my question throughout. I'm sorry to say that we don't seem to have a good plan to think that. And probably the think tank organizations like what Dr. B.K. Man Singh is heading, Now the time has come to think about seriously what should be our plan and strategy to take advantage from BRI, keeping our fragile environment and ecology intact. Okay? So what I think is that if we do not have an eco-friendly strategy, then BRI, all this infrastructure development may bring disasters also, you know. I mean, environmental destructions and passing through all those. But if we have an eco-friendly strategy, then we can take every opportunity to. And fortunately, BRI has a ecological principle, you know, environmental principle to guide it. And China is going through what is called is an ecological civilization. This is strongly advocating that. So we can bank on that, and we can say that, look, and we want to safeguard our fragile ecosystem of Nepal, and we want to get benefited from BRI. Therefore, let's do like this. So we have to present this strategic plan from our side to negotiate with China. And for that, I think we have to learn from Tibet, Autonomous Region of China. That's what I want to say. Because we have to strategize tourism, agriculture, our renewable energy, agro-based economy, our water resources, all these things, you know, our mid-hill economy, which should be benefited. Let's say water, you know, I mean, I want to say to the Chinese friends here, China is going to have a lot of drinking water crisis in near future by 2030. There's a huge demand is coming, you know. From where do they import water? They import water from France. They import water from Thailand. Why can't they import water from Nepal? You know, there's something is nearby, and there's something, this kind of export commodity we can use as a water to China. This is some very simple, you know. And if you go to further than that, what Dr. Huang just said, if we think of the data mining in Nepal with the help of China, this is going to, utilizing our hydropower resources, it's going to be a huge, you know, advantage to Nepal. That is called comparative advantage. So these are the kind of things we should think of, and we have infrastructure for that. You know, what we have is, well, I said learning from Tibet Autonomous Regions because, let me just briefly say that. What Tibet does when I was there is everything tied up with tourism, you know. Tourism with, let's see if I've written it here or not. Yes, Tierra has come out with a development strategy that revolves around tourism. Everything is tourism plus. There's tourism plus agriculture, tourism plus industry, tourism plus trade, tourism plus education, tourism plus health. They say it like that, tourism plus, okay? And what happened? Like last year, it was 55 million tourists in Tibet. And what is the population of Tibet? It's 6 million, you see? And so compared to that, what is the tourism that we have? Right, about 1 million we are getting one every year. So it is 55 times more Tibet is catering its tourists. And the interesting thing is that it's mostly domestic tourism. The Chinese people come there. And they cannot stay for a long time in tourism because of the high altitude and all. They have to, you know, change the course very quickly. So Nepal is the best site for them to quickly move out of the Lhasa or Tibet. So therefore, this recent connection with Pokhara from, you know, Chengdu and Lhasa flight, you know, that will make very easy to have this kind of tourism, this thing. So yesterday when the Chinese ambassador was saying and how we can promote tourism, I think these are very, 3 minutes? Okay, so I'll move very fast. So this cross-border economic zone was there, and it is like in the Russia, there are two, Nepal side and the exact replica on the other side. So this kind of cross-border economic zone could be utilized to establish data centers, as what Dr. Huang has said, which has a great future for Nepal. And there are other opportunities also, especially if you look at it geopolitically. I slightly differ from what Dr. Prasai said about India, China, and like that. Yes, there is a conflict, there is a lot of competition between India and China, but we should also understand there is a cooperation also between them. And we have to take advantage of that cooperation. The India and China are having 120 billion US dollar trade every year. And how much we do? We have a 1.2 billion trade between here. So if they can do the trade, why India should obstruct our trade with China? This is the question we should raise to Indians. And you can imagine a world in which, with the Trump coming, everybody is being suffered. India is also getting tariff slabs. So they are turning towards China for economic cooperation. So Nepal is in a strategic position to have, again, to bring this trilateral cooperation and making a transit route from Nepal to between the trade cooperation between India and China. This kind of things, we should have the vision to work for, let's say, 50 years from now on to make that world happen in which India and China can cooperate, So with these long visions, we should work. And another thing is that Asia Infrastructure Investment Bank is already, India is the second largest contributor and the first largest beneficiary. Most of the fund, most of the loan goes to India from Asian Infrastructure, which was supposed to finance BRI, infrastructure development. So without joining BRI, India is getting all the benefit from Asian Infrastructure Investment Bank. And we are one of the founding members of AIIB. I was there when it was established. But we have not got a single project from AIIB until now. So these are the things, So I just want to say, because it's not so much, I just want to show this cartoon in which China seems to be, given these figures of what is its, annual income and like this. It is in better position than all these four joined together. If you look at the comparison between Indo-Pacific strategy, which is $2.2 billion in 2022, and China has spent $74.5 billion in 2022 in BRI. So you can see the difference of what is the investment going on there. So finally, what I want to say is that this realignment between US and China, Cold War, recently China has given that statement that it is ready for any tariff war or trade war or any kind of war with US. You see, this is a very serious statement China has said. And so with that, what is happening is that the BRICS and India and China are also coming closer, I think. So Nepal has to be aware of this situation and try to develop a strategic plan thinking about this. And because we do not have any enemies, we have enmity with none and friendship with all, Nepal should have a very strategic, diplomatic skills to change the situation in favor of world peace and Nepal's development. So for that, Nepal need to develop a sound, eco-friendly development strategy and utilize cross-border economic zones to produce goods needed for its domestic needs as well as for the markets of China and South Asia. This, so in this context, what I'm trying to say is that again, we may have to think of the trilateral cooperation. And this Nepal government, if we want to make a strategic plan, the Nepal government has to support think tank organizations in Nepal, something like the organizations of this event, and it has to bring in all the people, experts who are thinking seriously about BRI cooperation with China, and to develop into a strategic. Because one thing I have learned with that, if you want to talk with China, you have to come with facts and figures. You have to come with a vision. You have to come with a plan. You just can't go there and say, okay, do this, do that, present a shopping list of, things that you want from China. And they want to know what you really want and how do you want, how do you justify that? So we have to be prepared at least with that. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Maske, for your wonderful presentation. Yes, you shared that Nepal has no one enemy, but all are friends. Enmity to none and friendship to all. With this, I would like to once again thank all the three panelists. We have received, if you have any question or the remarks or your suggestion about the presentation from Dr. Maske, please write down and provide us as early as possible. First of all, I would like to request Dr. Persai to respond on the queries, and then rather than taking much time to read out the question and the name from myself and the repeating same to Persai, I would like to directly hand over my microphone to Dr. Persai. He will read out question and the name of the person who has raised the question and the answer of that. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Hello. Thank you, Lila sir, and thank you everyone for actually praising or creating. I prefer to use the word creating questions, and then this question actually will help us move forward for better and deeper dialogue. And I really appreciate, even if I'm unable to answer some of the questions, which I think I'm unable because I'm not expert. I do not know everything about BRI. I know a few fundamental things, and from a certain theoretical point of view. So nobody knows everything about BRI, by the way, because BRI is one of the largest thing in the world ever existing. So there are certain things, a lot of things that we do not know about BRI. So Anjana, but ask how to reduce debt that we already have, because people have been talking about loans and grants and things, but nobody talks about how to cut down or reduce debt that we already have. And the best way, the very, very quick response to this very important question is, the best way to reduce debt is to create more wealth so that we can pay our debt. And the best way to create more wealth is to invite a productive investment in a country. Like Western countries have been investing basically in finance capital, which has not become productive. On the contrary, it has become unproductive or anti-productive in a number of cases. So the best way is to invite productive investment and create wealth and pay your debt. That is the first thing, and I think the most important thing. And the other one is by Asses Gemire, who is interested to know why Nepalese politicians and policymakers are not interested to push BRI forward or BRC forward. And I actually, if Asses remembers my analyzing why BRI has stagnated or has become sluggish in its movement in Nepal, I have clearly pointed out, and then we should first put the blame on the world system and some countries' interest to maintain and continue their hegemonic position, which they have been exercising for quite a long time. That, I think, is the most important factor for hindering the rapid development of growth. So we should be able to we should theoretically inform ourselves about the situation and then prepare ourselves to countervail these pressures from India and Western nations. That is my quick response. And the other question is by Purushottam Shahi. I think if I got your question right, then you are asking prescription if development policies, steer Nepal's development policies free from Western and Southern policy prescription. So yeah, I think it is possible. It's not possible. It's impossible to totally free ourselves from Western pressures and Indian pressure, which is not possible at this moment of time. But what is possible is to at least countervail some of the pressure or some amount of pressures that is coming from India or Westerns. Like, and I'm just not being utopian in this entirely. If you look at some African nation which used to be the poorest, desperately the poorest nation in the world 30 years ago, have now countervailed Western pressures, or pressures coming from Western institutions, capitalist Western institutions, and there are dozens of African countries, and there are many other Latin American countries who have successfully countervailed the pressure coming from Western, and they have said goodbye to IMF, goodbye to World Bank. Yes, they have said that very effectively and by participating in BRI. So. And the other question is by Gokul Gautam, and it's a very important question, I guess, and I do not have a very, perhaps a good answer to this, but at least what I can say is, yes, Chinese side is also responsible. Some of us think that isn't Chinese side also responsible for sluggish movement of or stagnation of BRI? On the face of it, prima facie, it looks like that. But do we want Chinese side to pushing us hard to implement BRI? Is that exactly what we want? And doesn't that make it a colonial project? The Chinese side pushing, oh, do this and do that, do this on time. So if you do not want a colonial project or an imperial project, which BRI is not, then we should not be expecting Chinese side to be pushing hard. Perhaps, I don't know the details of every BRI or a Chinese investment in Nepal. But cannot say for sure what exactly the position is, and we should not be making comments on those things which we actually do not know. But I appreciate Chinese not pushing hard enough. Initially, I used to believe that Chinese comrades are not pushing it hard. Then later on, I realized that it's not an imperial and colonial project. Then Chinese side should not be pushing us hard to do this and that. So that's a good side of a BRI, I guess. And the other one, perhaps the second last, is about interest rate. Again, if you look at MOU and other the documents following MOU, there are different kind of loans. There are loans, there are grants, there are concessional loans, there are interest-free loans, and there are commercial loans, by the way, and they have different interest, right? So the important point here is everything under BRI is negotiable. It's not just about interest rate. Interest rates are negotiable. Everything, literally everything is negotiable. Then from that point of view, interest rate, if you look at World Bank and IMF and ADB, they start with a 1% interest rate. And at that time, when 1% interest rate is decided, the exchange rate for the dollar is like $75 or $80, right? So 80 rupees per dollar. Now it is almost 140, I guess. 140. So even if there is no interest rate, and if you have to pay back your loan in dollar, then the interest rate actually amounts to being like 200%, I guess, something like that. It's a funny figure, not the exact figure. So, but one of the very interesting side of the BRI is, actually many people are not aware of this. If you cannot pay your loans back in cash, then interestingly, you can pay that in kind, which practically means if we cannot pay like $100 million to China, which we have taken as a loan, then what we can do is after 5 years, we will repay our loan with potatoes and tomatoes and beans and rice and grass and whatever we have. So that I think is a very unique part of the BRI, right? Which you cannot do with IMF, which you cannot do with India, which you cannot do with World Bank or the brother of the World Bank, ADB, right? All of them have the same system. So the last question, Yogendra Saiji asked, Marxist interpretation was based on capital accumulation and certain peripheries. It is very good that Marx interestingly saw Indian railway development as a very positive phenomena, and also as Marx saw Indian development as a very, very positive phenomena, because Marx was assuming that the development of productive forces in India, including the railway, will dismantle the old traditional Indian society and revolutionize Indian society, but that actually did not happen. because the Indian railways and transportation and everything that British setup in India was to exploit and appropriate surplus from rural Indias to the hub of Britain. So that actually, so instead of contributing to development of India, railway system actually were appropriating and exploiting and impoverishing India. And there are many books and papers about that. You don't have to be a Marxist in order to make such kind of claim. If you have read Shashi Tharoor's The Dark Age, then he's very explicitly and very clearly make it very clear that British investment in India was impoverishing India, making India poorer and poorer. And when Britain came to India, the share of India in world GDP was 22%. And when Britain left India, the share of India in world GDP was merely 2%, right? So that was the situation. So every investment is not an opportunity. Every road is not an opportunity. Every railway is not an opportunity. It depends how other systems are set up, right? Thank you. But I'm sure I'm unable to answer all the question, which is very normal. Thank you, Leela sir.
Thank you, Persai sir. I would like to request Dr. Tu from your parts, please respond as briefly as possible because we are running out of time.
I have three questions, and I answer the first one. Thank you for the good question. The question is that how does China ensure that its engagement with Nepal under BRI respects Nepal's sovereignty and independence in foreign policy decision? Yes, this is really a good question. We know that China has this foreign policy philosophy, just like that amity, sincerity, mutual benefits, and cooperation. So Nepal is our good neighbor in good battle, good friends. So we always play in Nepal in our good positions of our neighboring country, neighboring foreign policy. So we always hope that Nepal to be a prosperous country, to achieve its prosperous Nepal and happy Nepali, because we really, if Nepal can be a strong, rich, and prosperous country, that means there are so many the Nepalese people are rich, and Nepal can be a more beautiful country. That means we can have more cooperation in the many fields, just like infrastructure or some other fields, trade fields. Nepalese side can buy more commodities from China. Also, China can buy more commodities from Nepal, which was with high quality, with very good, just like some high valued products. Yes, so I think yes, China always has this idea that when China and Nepal has made some agreements, we always do not attach only political conditions. Yes, purely for the economic development. Yes, cooperation. So we never interfere that Nepal's domestic issues. So we always respect the only country, whether it's a big country or small country. Yes, so that is my first answer.
There are two more questions. While reading question, I would like to hand over to Dr. Maske, and then I'll come back to you. Please, there are two more questions for you. Two more questions for you. Please read that.
Yeah, you can speak later. Okay, I have three questions. And the first question, I would respond. I'll read it out. Dr. Maske, praised for your thought-provoking ideas. BRI has numerous benefits, as we have learned. Why have the political parties in Nepal not working in favor of these sort of projects, only bargaining. Dr. Kripa Ram Vishwakarma from RR campus. Thank you for this question. What I think is that our political leaders have a short-sightedness of not understanding the opportunities that is right in front of us, how to utilize that. If you look at the whole world, it seems like, all rivers are flowing towards the ocean kind of thing, All countries are looking towards China for trade and cooperation, and especially after Trump has arrived, even its closest allies are coming to China to do trade with them, to have some kind of, mutual cooperations. But Nepal, since last 8 years, we have been talking, but not delivering any concrete things. And I see it's like, as I said, short-sighted vision of Nepali leaders, in that they work under pressure. It is not that they do not have a common sense, They also see, yes, there is a benefit in having cooperation with BRI, but under certain pressure, they don't take that kind of opportunity, it seems, to me. That's the only interpretation I get. And that's where Dr. Kharendra Prasad's observation is correct. That there's extreme pressure from India, not to go into that. That's the only viable reason that we can think of. And you see, as I told you, India does trade with China, by itself, bilaterally. They are doing a lot. But they do not want it through Nepal. And it's because Nepal is a captive market of India for a very, very long time. They don't want to lose that market. And they fear that if there is a more and more interaction with China, they might lose that market. Probably that's the kind of thing that I understand. But as I said, if we think of a grand vision of India and China cooperation, probably we can work towards changing this concept. The second question is, Dr. Maske, what may be the underlying reason that Nepal, being the founding member of AIIB, didn't have a single project? Very interesting question. Yes, we were the founding member, and there's a very interesting story, but because of time, I won't be able to say that. But I would just tell you that the AIIB also charges an interest rate. That is my understanding. Now, India is paying that interest rate and getting all the projects for that. But Nepal is not in a position to pay that interest rate. Probably that's the reason why it has not done a single project. But I don't think Nepal has even negotiated with AIIB for a lower interest rate, because it doesn't have the kind of project that would go for AIIB to ask for a loan. That's my second. The third question is, there's a Marxist writer, Dr. Yogendra Sahi, and a very interesting presentation of the digitalization as a major productive force, how Nepalese Chinese Marxists can understand and could develop a Marxist framework from a Marxist framework. Very interesting. Actually, the Chinese and Nepali Marxists are cooperating together also, There is a journal called World Marxist Review, which is the editor-in-chief is Chung An-fu, and I'm also one of the editor of that. And Chung An-fu is also the editor of Bampantha the Left, the advisor of the Bampantha the Left. So that sort of communication is going on between Chinese Marxist and Nepalese Marxist circle. But we have not developed a kind of Marxist framework of development between Chinese and Nepal. But that is possible. And I think with the interaction with our think tank organizations, especially Sichuan University and Hubei University and all, I think we can really go into that direction. Thank you for this suggestion.
Thank you, Dr. Maske. There are certain questions or queries not targeted to anyone else. I would like to request one of the three panelists to respond this question. One question was from Brigadier General Kesar Bahadur Bhandari. What do the panelists think on the idea of Nepal being the linchpin between China and India through BRI as tool, so that the process of 21st century being the Asian century is expedited? I think I would like to request him to personalize. How can Nepal be a linchpin between India and China, so that the process of 21st century being the Asian century is expedited?
Yeah, that exactly is a very wonderful and a great idea. This is exactly the 21st century. If India and China can cooperate in a very friendly way, in fact, they have a very deep relationship in terms of trade. They have a huge amount of trade going on, as Mahesh pointed out. But yes, BRI could be a link between India and China. Already have their own link. They don't need Nepal as a link between themselves. So, but the important thing is, India so far has not prepared itself for BRI. And how can you even think of BRI being a link between China and India? That's a problem not from Chinese and Nepalese side, but that's a problem from Indian side. So I think this question had to be answered by, if the right answer should come, then it should come from Indian side, I guess. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. Another question is from Rupesh. Is there a financial risk for Nepal in entering into this BRI? How Nepal can be beneficial from BRI? What are the counter strategies for global powers like USA and EU? He's from Youth Federation Nepal, Rupesh. I think we a lot of discuss about the benefits of BRI and the financial risk. Definitely every project has financial risk, and then before implementing it, we must be careful about the financial risk, and the mitigation measures must be adopted. Regarding what are the counter strategies for global powers like US and EU? Actually, what sort of counter strategy? Rather than adopting counter strategy, what we should have our own strategy, how to cooperate with China and the benefit from it, rather than countering them. They have their own strategy, and then they will counter. Big power will counter each other, and we should not fall in between them. We should have our strategy to foster relationship with EU, with US, with China, with India, rather than that countering their strategy to BRI and then countering their strategy to other countries like that. That is what I understand. One question is directly asked to me. That was from Neeta Sharma, from some Youth Federation. There is an illusion and provide China's I think illusion and what is that? A provoke. Okay, there is an illusion and a provoke China invest only in their interest and makes economy destroyed like Sri Lanka and Pakistan. Oh, illusion. Promote China's interest only in their interest and then make economy destroyed like China. I think Pakistan, Sri Lanka and Pakistan. I think Nita yesterday in my presentation have said that look China from your own eyes, not from others' eyes. This is exactly what happens in your question, and then you are looking at China from the other sides. What others say about Sri Lanka? What others say about Pakistan? Have you heard any Sri Lankan or the Pakistani about what they say and then whether they destroyed economy? China destroyed their economy. Have you heard any? I'm quite doubtful on that. and then don't hurt the third country or some other people, and then what they say for about Sri Lanka, and then don't borrow at the face value of what they say. If there are really a problem between Sri Lanka and China, they themselves will deal. Focus on your own issues and own problem rather than bog down on others' matters. That is what I would like to clarify on this. And the cooperation, all type of cooperation has opportunities and risk as well. If you cannot properly manage any kinds of the foreign cooperation, and then you have to bear the consequences of that cooperation. That's why it is a question of proper negotiation and then articulating your interest, and then specifying what actually your needs are, and then what actually you want to achieve through that cooperation. This depends upon our own preparation. There is one suggestion from Dr. Rambabu Dhakal. He acknowledges the practical suggestion given by Dr. Tu, and then he says that such suggestions could, this kinds of seminar should have discussed more on such kinds of the suggestions and practical cooperation measures, and the consequences of such cooperations that could have been much more beneficial for the national development efforts. That is what he suggested. And then he also suggested that how their such suggestions could be incorporated in Nepal-China bilateral framework of cooperation under BRI. This, I think, the organizer of the seminar definitely will produce a report, a comprehensive report, and then maybe forwarded it to the government agencies so that it can be a reference document for the future cooperation. With this, and there are two more questions to Dr. Tho. I would like to hand over Max once again. Please, very brief, because we are already out of time.
Here is a very interesting question, very interesting. And in the pragmatic conclusions that hydropower plus technology and digital is basic of Nepalese development is similar inspiration of Lenin's hydropower plus American scale in the Soviet socialism. It's really an interesting question. I think that we need to learn from each other, no matter and don't emphasize the different value, different political system, or different ideology. And as long as this successful experience is helpful or is a benefit to a country's development and social development, so that learn from each other is a very good way.
के भन्नुहोस् न Okay.
I related to a Marxist school and very interesting, and I linked with Marx's interpretation of Siberia Railway, Indian Railway, that we should look, because sometimes peripheral strategy in Nepalese interpretation is exploitive measures, yeah? There was some sort of interpretation in 80s, and especially Dr. Maskey's interpretation regarding Tibet, we need to link up the spatial economic development in regards to Marxist interpretation. We really need it in 21st century. And Professor Wang's the further question, what Deng Xiaoping understood properly, the technological revolution, the further follow-up question, and then sees that he told in many times that AI and digital could be more this productive force. Deng told technology, not only labor, when he was talking with Husserl, Then Xi Jinping told, no, AI. If we couldn't lead in AI, we'll fall backward. That's why your interpretation here linked with Lenin, then the technological revolution, then AI.
Thank you. Thank you. Rather than question, you have already answered that how we can link with the technology, with the Marxism and the Marxist philosophy or Marxist socialism or these two kinds of development. And then China has already been evolving through the process of technology transfer and then Marxism economy and socialism. We are also evolving through our own processes, and thank you. We have to look after. There is a need for more interpretation and study about how we can further improve the economic policies, and so that we can actually achieve the goal that our constitution has mandated for the socialist economy. Is there any, you are out of time, then we can discuss on the tea time as well. There is one question about from Premal Kumar Khanal. He has asked question to Dr. Tu. BRI नेममा नेताका जिल्लामा खेल मैदान र सभा हल बनाउने परियोजना समावेश गरिएको छ। यस्ता परियोजनाबाट उत्पादन रोजगारी कसरी वृद्धि हुन्छ के नेतालाई खुसी पार्न यस्ता परियोजना BRI मा स्वीकार गरिएको हो? I think your question is pertinent, but the panelist, he is not the government official who negotiates this project. That's why it might be injustice to ask an answer from the question from him. And then this question we have to raise to our leaders, why they propose this, no? Rather than that, this is the integrity and honesty of our leadership, and then prioritizing the project, as I said yesterday. With this, I would like to thank you all the panelists and all the participants for your very lively participation in the discussion and question answer session. Dr. Persai mentioned about the look after BRI from the historical materialistic perspective. Your questions answer also lied on that statement. And Mr. Maske highlighted about the historical perspective of the Silk Road and then connectivity with Nepal. We should look after on that perspective, and then also suggested Chinese side for incorporating those ancient Silk Road in the economic Silk Road map or or the programs or project. And Dr. Tu has given a lot of suggestions about how Nepal can benefit from the Chinese technology and investment and knowledge and market. With this short kind of summary of the presentations, I would like to thank you all and would like to conclude the first part of the today's panel discussion. Thank you. Dear participants, and then we have successively another panel discussion.
Just a minute, sir.
That's right.
We would like to present token of appreciation to our panelists. So if you could still remain here, and while Sabina brings in the token of appreciation.
Please.
I'd like to request Jalanath sir.
Bear with us because this is a long session. Half just finished we have the panel discussion.
So our first token of appreciation to Dr. Mahesh. To Dr. Khagendra. To Professor Da. We can have a quick joint photo of the panelists, please. Quick photo for the panelists, please. Sir, quick photo for the panelists. Sabina, you can join.
सम्झौता भएको छ। इन्डो पेसिफिक स्ट्रेटेजीको अब्जेक्टिभ के हो त भन्दा आतंकवादी चुनौती विरुद्ध हतियार बन्द, कम्ब्याटिङ टेररिस्ट थ्रेट। यो मेरो कुरो होइन, आईपीएस को त्यसको निष्कर्ष हो। प्रमोशन स्टेबिलिटी एंड पार्टनरशिप अथवा स्थायित्व र साझेदारीको अभिवृद्धि, फ्री एंड फेयर ट्रेड, खुला बजार, खुला र स्वतन्त्र व्यापार, इनर्जी लिंकेज, ऊर्जा सम्बन्ध, कोअपरेसन, सहयोग। सबैभन्दा महत्त्वपूर्ण के हो भन्दाखेरि स्ट्रेन्थन एलिज एन्ड आर्म्स, हतियार सहितको गठबन्धनको मजबुतीकरण, ग्रोइङ डिफेन्स पार्टनरशिप, सुरक्षा साझेदारीको विकास। यी दुईटा आईपीएस का महत्त्वपूर्ण कुराहरू हुन्। नेपाल इन्डो पेसिफिक स्ट्रेटेजीमा 2018 को अन्त्य डिसेम्बरमा सामेल भएको छ। अब तत्कालीन सरकारले दुईवटा कुरामा सहमति जनाएको देखिन्छ। सरकारको नेतृत्वले एउटा आईपीएस इन्डो पेसिफिक स्ट्रेटेजी र अर्को एसपीपी स्टेट पार्टनरशिप प्रोग्राम एग्रीमेंट। यो मैले मसँग दस्तावेजै भएको कारणले म यी कुराहरू राखिरहेको छु। यी दुईटै प्रोजेक्टहरू अथवा यी दुईटै अवधारणाहरूले चीन र नेपालको बीच हुने साझेदारी विकासका सम्बन्धमा दुवै हर्डल क्रिएट गरिरहेका छन्, दुवैले समस्या सिर्जना गरिरहेका छन् र ती दुवैका कारणले नेपालको आर्थिक विकासमा अवरोध सिर्जना गर्ने, हामीले आफ्नै विकासका निम्ति निर्णय गर्न नसक्ने स्थिति बन्दै गएको छ। यो केही यसका तथ्यगत कुराहरू पनि छन्। आईपीएस रिपोर्ट को इंडो पैसिफिक स्ट्रेटेजी रिपोर्ट 2019 जून 1 को रिपोर्ट को एउटा यहाँ भनाइ म राख्न चाहन्छु। The national security strategy and the national defense strategy articulate our vision to compete better and win this environment, achieving this vision, combining a more lethal joint force with a more robust constellation of allies and parties. Increased investment in these imperative will sustain American influence in the region to ensure favorable balance of power and safeguard the free and open international order. यो रिजनमा नै आफ्नो वर्चस्व कायम गर्ने उद्देश्यका साथ अमेरिकनहरूको लगानीको प्राथमिकतालाई सधैँभरि कायम राख्नु पर्ने थुप्रै भर्सनहरू हामीसँग आएका छन्। त्यसले गर्दाखेरि हामीले हाम्रो छिमेकी मुलुक, सिमाना जोडिएको मुलुकसँगका द्विपक्षीय विकास सम्बन्धहरूलाई पनि अगाडि बढाउन नसक्ने स्थिति भएको छ। अब यी कुराहरू कूटनैतिक रूपले हाम्रो आफ्नो राष्ट्रिय सार्वभौमिकता र अखण्डतालाई मध्यनजर गरेर गरिनुपर्ने कुराहरूमा पनि हामी आफ्नो संविधान विरुद्धका सम्झौता र सहमतिहरू गरिरहेका छौँ। जस्तो आइपिएसमा सामेलिए हाम्रो संविधान, हाम्रो फरेन पोलिसी र हाम्रो पञ्चशीलका सिद्धान्तका विपरीत आइपिएसमा हाम्रो संलग्नता छ र सँगसँगै एमसिसिएम एग्रिमेन्ट पनि त्यसैको मूल कारण हो। किनभने पहिलेदेखि नै रहिआएको नेपाल एउटा स्ट्रेटेजिक लोकेसनमा रहेको कारणले नेपालको सभरेन्टिमाथि च्यालेन्ज गर्दै ग्लोबल पोलिटिक्समा अमेरिकाको सधैँभरि एन्टी चाइना इन्सर्कलमेन्ट पोलिसी चीनका वरिपरिका 14वटा मुलुकहरूबाट प्रवेश गर्ने आधार नहुँदा कमजोर कडीको रूपमा नेपाललाई प्रयोग गर्दै आइएको थियो। 2030 सालमा मुस्ताङ अपराइजिङ, खम्पाहरूको अपराइजिङ यसैको एउटा नमुना हो र यस सन्दर्भमा मुस्ताङ अपराइजिङ बारे अर्फन्स अफ कोल्ड वार भन्ने के नाउस, जोन के नाउस, जो त्यति बेला सिआइएको प्रतिनिधिको रूपमा यस क्षेत्रमा काम गर्थे, उनले लेखेको एउटा किताब छ। त्यसमा मुस्ताङ अपराइजिङ भन्ने एउटा ठुलो लामो च्याप्टर छ। यी थुप्रै कुराहरू यसमा उल्लेख छन्। त्यसकारणले हामीले हाम्रो आफ्नै सभरेन्टीको रक्षा र सम्मान र हैसियतका आधारबाट द्विपक्षीय सम्बन्धका साथ आर्थिक लगानीका क्षेत्रमा गर्नुपर्ने विकास पनि अवरुद्ध भएको छ। त्यसकारण यसको मूल कडी के हो भन्ने कुरालाई हामी थुप्रै बिआरआई सम्बन्धी, बिआरआईले गरेका ग्लोबल डेभलपमेन्ट सम्बन्धी, इन्भेस्टमेन्ट सम्बन्धी थुप्रै उदाहरणहरू हामी सुनिसकेका छौँ। मैले त्यो दिशातिर दोहोऱ्याउन चाहिन्न। म एउटा राजनीतिक कार्यकर्ता भएको कारणले यसको मूल जड के हो त भन्ने कुरामा मात्रै मैले आफ्नो विचार राख्ने प्रयत्न गरेँ। धन्यवाद।
Thank you very much, sir, for your timely presentation and time management.
Cooperation must remain a channel for strengthening mutual understanding. I'm not lecturing. I'm not patronizing. This is a harmful suggestion.
Practical cooperation between China and Nepal mainly includes the following aspects. There are three aspects. The first is tourism cooperation, just like Musky mentioned earlier. The tourism Caesar attracts more than 15 million tourists last year. For both Caesar and Nepal, tourism is a partner industry and an important driving force for economic and social development. The cooperation and the development of the border tourism, mountaineering and trekking, and pilgrimage tourism are the main aspect of tourism cooperation. I think it is possible to create one-day tours in border counties such as Geelong and Rosuva, Zhongba and Boston, etc., relying on China-Nepal border ports such as Geelong, Rosuva, Gandhi Port and the Jammu Kodari Port, and Pulan Yari Port and Liz Naichung Port, to create 1 hour visa-free travel at the border ports and build a China-Nepal border tourism cooperation zone. Last year, our team just do the field survey along the border, China-Nepal border. We already know that the Geelong County and the Jammu Port is ready to plan to do this. The second is Mountaineering and trekking. Mount Kasthamandap in the border area of China and Nepal is a destination of mountaineering enthusiasts from all over the world. Nepal has a world-class trekking roads such as the Solankhimbu Trekking Road, Taplachung Road, and the Great Himalayan Road. And tourists mainly from India, Europe, and the United States. Xizang is also a place of demonstrative trekking interest. We can make use of our comparative advantage to strengthen cooperation. In terms of pilgrimage tourism, Lumbini, Nepal is the birthplace of Buddha. Is very attractive to Chinese Buddhist believers, and can even create, I think, that's even my version, create China, India, Nepal, Buddhist tourism circle in the future. And Kailas in Pulan County of Xizang are considered sacred mountain by Tibetan Buddhism, Hinduism, Jainism, and more. I have done research maybe a few years ago. I know that Apinampa Conservation Area in Darchula district is a famous gateway of to Kailas, and your report also the village of Hilsa in Humla district and the Rusugani port in Rasuva district and the Kodari port in Sintu Chapok district are the main entry points of pilgrims and to and from Mount Kailash, all of which attract tourists from Nepal and abroad. Many pilgrims from India enter Xizang through Nepal for the pilgrimage, and I think the potential for future cooperation is very huge. And the second aspect is trade. The broader prospect of trade. A broader prospect of trade between Xizang and Nepal are reflected, in the following aspect. Firstly, Xizang has obviously geographic advantages. Nepal has always been the largest trading partner of Xizang, and Xizang has always occupied the position of the main province in the trade between China and Nepal. For example, in the last year, the total import and export value of Xizang's goods trade reached 12.67 billion yuan, and the import and export value of Nepal reached 5.12 billion yuan, accounting for 32.7% of the total trade value between the two countries. Second, is second, the trade prospect between Xizang and Nepal abroad. For example, the import of more than 600 tons of Nepalese silage in last year, and it will have great room for growth, as well as the herbal medicine and agriculture products. Third, the Chinese product can enter the broader South Asian market through Nepal. For example, new energy vehicle, lithium batteries, and photovoltaic products exported to Nepal through Xizang ports are highly suitable for the South Asian market demand, with a total export value of 330 million yuan in last year. Fourth, it will bring more benefits to the border residents on both sides. Border trade with Xizang is the most main ways of the residents of northern northern Nepal to obtain basic necessities and make money. In this regard, China has always paid attention to Nepal's concerns. On May 25 last year, 14 traditional border trade points between China and Nepal were reopened. At that time, our team is just, at one traditional trade point of Rongsha. Yeah. Eligible resident of 15 northern border district of Nepal can apply for a 5-year permit to enter Xizang within 30 kilometers from 14 designed ports on the border of China and Nepal for maximum stay of 1 month, which fully demonstrated the brotherly friendship between China and Nepal with the construction of Jam Port, Jilin Port, and other ports. The border resident trade zone standardization construction continue to advance. The border resident on both sides will benefit more in the future. This is where we went to before, the one of the traditional trade points in the Rongsha Township. Yeah. The last one is Poverty Alleviation Corporation. China and Nepal can implement this is my suggestion, Himalaya Poverty Alleviation and Development Program in the Nepal border areas, especially in its northern mountains, as part of the China-Nepal BRI cooperation. Xizang can play a unique role in the poverty alleviation cooperation between China and Nepal. The 15 districts in the northern Nepal border in China are geographically close to Xizang and has a close people-to-people connection with Xizang. Therefore, the mountaineer areas in the northern Nepal can learn from the poverty alleviation experience of Xizang and realize independent development in the light of their own reality. Xizang can also learn from the experience of previously agriculture technical assistance project in the northern Nepal and continue to implement assistance project that meets local needs to help the northern mountainous areas of Nepal to get rid of poverty as soon as possible, so as to realize national vision of progress in Nepal and happiness as soon as possible. And this is two pictures I took last year in the China only Tamang village. Yeah, I have been there more than five times. I have witnessed the changes in that village. It's very now just like Maski mentioned earlier. This village now become a very popular tourist destination, attracting all the tourists from China. And their house now is rebuilt for tourism, and it's very beautiful. And they now they only have less than 200 people, so now they have a better and prosperous life. And thank you all, and long live China Nepal friendship, and thank you.
There is one remarks only. There is no question at all. There is one question for you, sir. यो समय डिस्कसन गरौँ कि भाइ Okay, there is one question to Prakash Subedi. I will hand over the mic to him.
Okay, I have one question from Indira Shrestha. It is very interesting question, but Indra Shrestha, sorry, sir. I'm very sorry for that. From Mr. Indra Shrestha. He has said, he has asked me, it's a very pertinent and very timely question, but I don't know how much justice I can do to your question. Nepal is recently enlisted in grey list by FATF. What at present that we can do regarding anti-money laundering and proliferation financing than waiting faraway BRI projects? Well, thank you for the question, but then again, the first part of the question is far beyond the framework of today's discussion, and we all have read in the news that Nepal has been put in the grey list. What, in my understanding, the BRI said that is that while we are doing joint project, we will respect the international framework against money laundering and terrorism financing. Now, Nepal is in grey list or not in the grey list is another question beyond the framework of BRI. But what BRI has accepted is that no project within the BRI may be questioned within that framework. So let us just, this is the only weak link that we can establish between your question and BRI. Thank you.
Lilamari Pukhrel, sir.
धन्यवाद। मलाई सोधिएको प्रश्न हो BRI को इम्प्लिमेन्टेसन इमानदारीपूर्वक गरिनहुन MCC को सम्बन्धमा नेपालका राजनीतिज्ञहरू र तिनका पार्टीहरूले देखाएको हात्तीको खाने दाँत र देखाउने दाँत अर्को जस्तो राजनीतिक चरित्रको कस्तो दूरगामी प्रभाव पर्ला यहाँको भनाई राखिदिन अनुरोध गर्दछु। पुरुषोत्तम शाही BRI को परियोजनाहरू सञ्चालन गर्न नदिएको बारेमा त मैले भनिहालेँ। सम्भावनाहरू ऊर्जा क्षेत्र, एग्रिकल्चर कृषि क्षेत्र, शिक्षा, पर्यटन यिनीहरू हबका रूपमा थिए। MCC सफल पनि हुँदैन र MCC ले नेपाललाई कोलोनी बनाउँछ, यो मेरो निष्कर्ष हो। त्यसकारणले म पार्लियामेन्टबाट पास भए तापनि MCC कार्यान्वयन हुनु हुँदैन भन्ने मान्यता राखिराख्ने मान्छे हो। त्यसकारणले राजनीतिक चेतना र राष्ट्रिय सार्वभौमिकता माथिको चाहिँ नि सर्वोच्च चेतना जनतामा रह्यो भने इट क्यान बी फेल्ड। यहाँले राजनीतिक रूपले निचोडमा व्यक्त गर्नुभएको समस्याको गाँठो फुकाउन के गर्नु पर्ला? दुर्गाम मोहन श्रेष्ठ गलत राजनीतिका विरुद्ध, गलत निर्णयका विरुद्ध नागरिक चेतना नै सबैभन्दा ठुलो कुरो हो। रातभरि करायो दक्षिण हरायो भन्ने नेपाली उखान चरितार्थ हुँदैन। BRI-मा भएका बाधकलाई के उपाय छन्, मैले के कारणले रोकिए भन्ने कुराहरू मैले अघि मेरो एसेसमेन्ट मैले राखिसकेँ। त्यसका विरुद्ध आफ्नै मुलुकको सार्वभौमिकता र आफ्नो विकास आफैले गर्ने र यति बेला एउटा नेगेटिभ टिचरका रूपमा एउटा इन्सिडेन्ट हाम्रो अगाडि आइपुगेको छ। अमेरिकामा भएको राजनैतिक सत्ता परिवर्तनले एउटा अवसर हामीलाई फेरि दिएको छ कि हामीलाई अधीनस्थ गर्ने सम्झौता कार्यान्वयन केही समयका लागि रोकिएका जस्ता छन्। तर BRI बारेमा अझ कडा ढङ्गले आउन सक्ने सम्भावना मेरो प्रेडिक्सन हो। किनभने जुन बेला BRI सम्झौता BRI भन्नु आउँछ MCC सम्झौता भयो, त्यो सम्झौता गर्ने नै त्यति बेलाको सरकारको नेतृत्व गर्ने अहिले सरकारमा आइरहेका कारणले BRI MCC ग्लोबल्ली पावर कन्फ्लिक्टको निम्ति नेपाललाई नेपालको स्ट्रेटेजिक लोकेसन प्रयोग गर्नको निम्ति गरिएको सम्झौता हो। हस्, धन्यवाद।
Dhanyavad, sir. I would like to request Mr. Chang to answer the question raised to you.
Okay, I got two questions. The first one is, given the political rivalry between the USA and China, is BRI only focused on economic matters, or also geopolitical interests in Nepal? For this question, my take is that I think BRI is not only economical or political matters. I think it's a comprehensive project that China, to provide to all the world. And of course, there is Chinese. There have China's concern in import, like security and other things. Also have an interest in Nepal. But I think China and Nepal have shared more than thousands of friendship, and have very close people-to-people connection. And Nepal is our neighbor. I think BRI cooperation is more than that, more than economical or political cooperation. That is what is my opinion. And the second one is what is my feeling about what's my feeling about political cooperation is a different political ideology in Nepal. Chinese diplomacy to other countries is now it's never the ideology it doesn't matter. I think it's not the environment. And just I mentioned before, China and Nepal are neighbors and friends, and even brothers. I think ideology is never the matter to China's, the cooperation between two other countries. Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Chang. There is one question not intended to any panelist. I would like to read out it. How China is, can volunteer assist? Okay, no more question, please. We have already a lot of questions, and we have to manage time as well. One question for you, okay? There is a justice to you. Anyway, there is one question, one remarks that how China is dealing with spread misinformation regarding BRI projects, especially in Nepal and its partner countries by the West and India. Santosh Bhandari. International Relations and Diplomacy Studies. This question could have been pertinent for the Chinese authorities. I think Mr. Chang is a scholar, may not be able to answer that what are the strategies to counter this relationship. We Nepalese, the panelists are not appropriate person to answer this question. And the second is Pokhara विमानस्थल ऋण नभएर BRI को एक अङ्ग हो भनेर नेपालको लागि चिनिया राजदूतले भन्नुभएको थियो सम्झौता त ऋण थियो yes it was Exim Bank's loan the Pokhara airport is and then government agencies has responded on Chinese ambassador's remarks. That's why we don't need to more debate and argue on this matter. There is one more question to Pokhrel sir and one is madam, and then I will hand over mics to them and then we will conclude the discussion session. Thank you.
धन्यवाद। विकास BRI को विकास को मोडेल के हुन्छ उदाहरण चाइनाले पुनर्निर्माण गरेको दरबार हाई स्कुल परम्परागत नेपाली शैलीको सट्टा चाइनिज मोडेलमा बनाइएको छ के यो ठीक छ के तपाई सहमत हुनुहुन्छ त्यो दरबार हाई स्कुल बनाउनका निम्ति सम्झौता प्रस्तावमा सही कसले गरेको छ कुन मोडेलमा बनाउने भनेर सम्झौता भएको छ त्यही अनुसार बन्या होला नि त सम्झौताकारी पक्षहरूले आफ्नो शैली आफ्नो पुरानो जुन मोडेल थियो त्यही मोडेलमा बनाऊ भने भए त सायद त्यो दाताले पनि त्यही मोडेलमा बनाउँथ्यो होला र हाम्रै मोडेलमा बनाऊ भनेर भन्या होइन होला कि मलाई लाग्यो BRI ले त्यस्तै गर्ने त होइन मैले यस विषयमा अहिलेसम्म BRI का कार्यक्रमहरुको मोडेलको कुनै पनि त्यो नआएको कारणले कसरी गर्छ भन्न सकिदैन जबकि MCC मोडेल मैले हेरिसकेको छु MCC सम्झौता जुन मोडेल इम्पोज गरिएको मोडेलमा अझ हामीले त्यसमा तपाईहरुले अध्ययन अवश्य पनि गर्नु होला अमेरिकन कानुन हामीले पालन गर्नुपर्छ मिलेनियम च्यालेन्ज एक्ट 2003 को आर्टिकल नम्बर 607 हाम्रो कानुनको पार्ट एन्ड पार्सल बनिसकेको छ जसमा हाम्रो मिक्स्ड इकोनोमी मिश्रित अर्थतन्त्रलाई त्यसले इन्कार गरेर बजारमुखी अर्थतन्त्र मान्नुपर्ने भन्ने त्यसमा समावेश गरिएको छ सँगसँगै त्यसले केही डिक्टेट गरेको छ हामीले राज्यले के गर्नुपर्ने हाम्रो सोसाइटीले के गर्नुपर्ने भन्ने त्यो कानुनमा डिक्टेट गरिएको छ जो सम्झौता अनुमोदन गर्दाखेरि हामीले त्यो कानुन पनि अनुमोदन गरिसकेका छौं त्यसकारणले सायद BRI मोडेलमा त्यस्तो नहोला भनी अपेक्षा गरेका छौं त्यो हुँदैन नै हामीले विश्वास गर्नुपर्छ ल धन्यवाद
Yes, thank you, madam.
Finally, I got a question as well. I thought I was so loud and clear that nobody need to question me. But still, the question is asked by Mr. Lal Bahadur Pakrin. It is about the concept of India over BRI, which is antagonistic toward Belt and Road Initiative. So, how could we make India being a protagonist or being a positive view regarding the BRI? Neither Nepal nor China could change their view, but of course it would change regarding the contextual development of geopolitics. As we know that India and China has a bit bitter relation in some years ago, but now it's being sweeter. Hope it will change conveniently in future as well.
Thank you, madam. Let me, before concluding this session, there was a request from the organizer that the Vasudev Mishra, former ambassador of Nepal to Sri Lanka, would like to just share the story about handband tota. Just one participant has raised about the question about the handband tota, and then the organizer has requested we have 3 or 4 minutes time. That's why I would like to invite Ambassador Mishra. Just you will have 2 to 3 minutes only, okay? Then we will conclude the session.
सम्पूर्ण इन्टेलेक्चुअल्स तथा लरेट्सहरू र साथीहरू, म श्रीलङ्कामा 2022बाट 2024सम्म नेपाल सरकारको प्रतिनिधित्व गरेर राजदूतको रूपमा कार्यरत थिएँ। म त्योभन्दा पहिले यहीँ नेपालमै रहँदा अथवा नेपालभन्दा पहिला म बेलायत बस्दादेखि नै यो हम्बान टोटाको बारेमा धेरै नै ब्रिटिस पत्र पत्रिका पश्चिमा मिडियाहरूमा आइराख्ने भावनाले असाध्यै क्युरियोसिटी थियो मलाई त्यो ठाउँको बारेमा जान्नको लागि। र कुनै दिन म त्यहाँ जान्छु भनेको थिएँ। अब इत्तेफाक मलाई श्रीलङ्काको पोस्टिङ मिल्यो र त्यसपछि म त्यहाँ जाने मौका मिल्यो मलाई। तपाईहरुको 2 मिनेट 3 मिनेट चाहिँ सम्भवतः यति भन्दै जाला भन्ने मलाई डर लागिरहेको छ है। कोलम्बो श्रीलङ्काको दक्षिण पश्चिम भागमा पर्छ र हम्बानटोटा दक्षिण पूर्वी भागमा ठीक अपोजिट साइड बाई साइड पर्छ। धेरै र तपाईहरुले श्रीलङ्काको म्याप हेर्नुभयो भने दक्षिणी भाग फुकेको भेट्नुहुन्छ, उत्तरी भाग सुकेको छ। त्यसकारण कोलम्बोदेखि हम्बानटोटाको दूरी लगभग 260 किलोमिटर छ। 260 किलोमिटर छ र हम्बानटोटामा चाइनाले ग्र्याब गरेको भनिएको ठाउँ ब्यारेन ल्यान्ड हो। त्यहाँ कुनै ठुला रुख पात पनि छैन, ठुला हार्डवुडका जङ्गल पनि छैन त्यो ठाउँमा, बुसी एरिया हो त्यो र इरिगेसन के पनि छैन त्यो ठाउँ। जमिनको क्षेत्रफल भनेको 11.51 वर्ग किलोमिटर हो जम्मा त्यो ठाउँ। अनि चाइनाले हम्बानटोटा बन्दरगाह विकास गर्यो र मात्ताला एयरपोर्ट बनायो। अनि हम्बानटोटादेखि कोलम्बोसम्म, कोलम्बोबाट क्यान्डीसम्म लगभग 500 किलोमिटर यहाँको जस्तै हाम्रो ठुलो मोटरवे भनौँ न, मैले ब्रिटिस भाषामा भन्दा मोटरवे भन्छु म चाहिँ त्यसलाई। 4 लेन 6 लेन कति भन्नुहुन्छ तपाईहरु त्यही भन्नुहोस् है। त्यो ठुलो बाटो बनायो। पहिला 260 किलोमिटर पार गर्न दिनभरि लाग्थ्यो, जस्तै नेपाल काठमाडौँबाट काँकडभिट्टा गए जस्तै थियो। अहिले त्यो सानो गाडीमा 3 घण्टामा पुगिन्छ, बसमा 5 घण्टामा पुगिन्छ, जम्मी समयको उभो। अनि त्यसपछि त्यो ऋणमा थियो, यो बिआरआई सिआरआई केही पनि होइन, त्यो बिआरआई भन्दा पहिलाकै प्रोजेक्ट हो, त्यो ऋणमा हो। ऋण तिर्ने बेला आयो, आएपछि श्रीलङ्कामा फेरि रिसेसन भयो, आर्थिक मन्दी आयो, के गर्दाखेरि होइन उनीहरूलाई चाहिँ जे भए पनि तिर्न सक्ने अवस्था आएन। नआएपछि श्रीलङ्कालाई चाहिँ नि हङकङ बेस्ड चाइनिज कम्पनीले के भन्यो भने हामी तिमीहरूको ऋण तिर्दिन्छौँ, एक्जिम ब्याङ्कबाट लिएको पैसा हामी तिर्दिन्छौँ, यो ठाउँको विकास गर्न हामीलाई देऊ भनेर मात्ताला एयरपोर्टबाट 20 किलोमिटर टाढा समुद्री कोस्टमा उनीहरूले एउटा बनाए, पोर्ट बनाए, समुद्रलाई रिक्लेम गरेर हो त्यो। अनि समुद्रलाई घेरेर पोर्ट बनाए। त्योभन्दा पहिला दक्षिण पूर्व एसियाबाट जाने जहाजहरू 100 किलोमिटर टाढाबाट घुमेर जान पर्थ्यो। अनि उनीहरूले त्यहाँनिर बनाएपछि त्यहाँ अब कोइला सोइला भर्ने व्यवस्था पनि त्यहीँ गराए अनि त्यो 11.51 वर्ग किलोमिटर क्षेत्रमा त्यहाँ चाइनिजहरूले विभिन्न देशका मल्टिनेसनल कम्पनीहरूलाई बोलाएर याच फ्याक्ट्री सिमेन्ट फ्याक्ट्री हैन अनि त्यसपछि होटलहरू ठुल्ठुला होटलहरू बनाउनलाई उनीहरूले सब लिजमा अरूलाई दिए त्यो 79 वर्षको ठेक्का हो 85% त्यसको सेयर चाइनिज कम्पनीको उसमा छ 15% श्रीलङ्का सरकारकै छ मैले श्रीलङ्कन सरकारको तर्फबाट गएको प्रतिनिधिलाई नि भेटेँ उसँग राम्रो कुरा गरेँ सबै कुरा गरेँ यो बारेमा चाइनिज प्रतिनिधिलाई नि भेटेँ हो त्यहाँ जाँदा हामीलाई पर्मिसन चाहिँ लिनुपर्छ त्यो हो जो पनि जान पाउँदैन त्यहाँ त्यो चाहिँ हो अनि सेक्युरिटीको जिम्मा श्रीलङ्कन सरकारकै उसमा छ चाइनिज सरकारको चाइनाले सेना राखेको पनि छैन त्यहाँ केही पनि गरेको छैन खालि त्यो ब्यारन ल्यान्डको युज गरेर त्यसलाई चाहिँ नि 79 वर्षको लागि ठेक्कामा लियो अब हो त्यहाँ काम गर्ने 15 जना चाइनिज छन् 1500 श्रीलङ्कन छन् टप म्यानेजमेन्ट स्ट्राटेजिकल म्यानेजमेन्टका मान्छेहरू चाइनाबाट आउलान् तर तल्लो लेभलका स्ट्राटेजीदेखि तल ट्याक्टिकल लेभलका अपरेसनल लेभलका मान्छेहरू त जम्मै श्रीलङ्कन छन् ब्लू कभर लेबर त जम्मै श्रीलङ्कन हुन् काम त श्रीलङ्कनलाई मिलेको छ चाइनिज त 15 जना हुन् जम्मा अनि कसरी चाइनाले चाहिँ अनावश्यक उ गर्यो त त्यो गर्दा गर्दा के थियो भने हम्बानटोटादेखि कोलम्बोसम्म फास्ट ट्रेन बनाउने भनेर जापान सरकार तयार भएको थियो तर पश्चिमा देशहरूले चाइनिजहरूलाई निचा देखाउनको लागि त्यो जापानलाई भड्काइदिएछन् त्यो पनि क्यान्सल भयो होइन भने हम्बानटोटामा त्यो मात्ताला एयरपोर्टमा ऊ भएका ल्यान्ड भएका यात्रुहरू 1 घन्टामा कोलम्बो पुग्थे कोलम्बोको एयरपोर्ट पनि यत्तिकै टाढा छ कोलम्बो सहरबाट 35 किलोमिटर टाढा छ यत्तिकै तिनीहरूको नि 1 घन्टा लाग्छ त्यहाँ आउनलाई तर हम्बानटोटाबाट त्यहाँ कोलम्बो पुग्न 1 घन्टामा पुगिन्थ्यो तर पश्चिमा देशहरूले जापानिजहरू उनीहरूको एलाइ भयो यो नगर भनेर लगाइदियो उसले गरिदिएन अनि मात्ताला एयरपोर्ट पनि डेजर्टेड छ तर अहिले रसियन प्लेनहरू चाइनिज प्लेनहरू त्यहाँ आछन् म वास्तवमा कुनै डेटा सेटा लिएर आएको छैन अहिले त्यसो आउनाले म कुनै प्रश्नोत्तरको मुडमा छँदा पनि छैन अल अफ द सडन मलाई समय मिल्या हो र जे कुरो हो त्यो कुरो बताइदिनुपर्छ हाम्रो नेपालमा चाहिँ नि नेपाली मानिसहरूले सदैव त्यो पश्चिमी मिडियाको प्रभावमा परेर हो कि के हो सदैव चाइनाले ग्र्याब गर्छ ल्यान्ड ग्र्याब गर्छ यो गर्छ ऊ गर्छ भन्छन् मैले चाइनाको तर्फबाट पैरवी गरे पनि होइन वास्तविकता जे हो त्यो कुरो आफूले देखेको बताइदिएको मात्रै हो मैले चाहिँ
थ्याङ्क यू मिस्टर सर थ्याङ्क यू भेरी मच we have come to the end of this session principles and cooperation mechanisms. And he exclusively mentioned that this project is not mutually exclusive agreement. This agreement allows the opportunity for negotiating and cooperating with other countries as well. Madam Leela Nyaichai mentioned that the BRI has raised the aspirations of people, but still questioning after 10 years of this implementation. We spent a lot of time on talking, but it has strengthened the relationship between our two countries. But now realization is growing, she says. She termed this BRI as a source for humanity, and she mentioned that we possibly will have the opportunity to connect with China and India through this. And he highlighted 3 problems for the implementation. Namely the sensitivity and the topography, Tibet, and transparency. Leelamani Pukhrel sir mentioned about that the BRI is against the conventional, the Western imperialist, colonialist mindset development project. and he highlighted the objectives of the BRI. And he mentioned that there are a lot of problems in implementation because of the lack of vision and the lack of the bureaucratic hurdles, political apathy, Western inclinations, state mechanism, and weak diplomacy, Western pressures. These are the reasons for why we've not been able to implement. And he highlighted some of the parts of the IPS and IPS and SPP. Okay, SPP, IPS and SPP, and also talk about the MCC as well. Mr. Chang, I earlier also mentioned that he suggested 3 cooperation areas: tourism, trade, and poverty alleviation. With this summary, once again, I would like to thank all the panelists for being with us and strictly maintaining time protocol. And I also would like to thank all the participants for your patience for continued 3 hours session. Thank you very much. The now session is
moderating the discussion so effectively. Now I would like to request Right Honorable Jalnath Khanal, former Prime Minister of Nepal, to come on the stage to present the souvenir to our panelists. Likewise, I would like to request Dr. B.K. Mansingh, President of Foundation for Peace Development and Socialism, to present the souvenir to our panelists. Now I would like to request to present the souvenir to Dr. Jiang Jianghong. Likewise, I would like to request to present the souvenir to Mr. Prakash K. Subedi. I would also like to present the souvenir to Dr. Leela Nacher. Let's give a big round of applause. I would also like to request to present the souvenir to Mr. Leelamani Pokhrel. Let's give a big round of applause.
नमस्ते आदरणीय दर्शकवृन्द, आज हामी एकेनेति होटलमा छौँ। यो बीआरआईको सिरिजको डिस्कसन भइरहेको छ र हामीसँग अत्यन्त पूजनीय हाम्रो सम्माननीय भूतपूर्व प्रधानमन्त्री श्री झलनाथ खनालजी हुनुहुन्छ र हामी केही जिज्ञासा बीआरआई सम्बन्धी केही जिज्ञासा राख्दैछौँ। सर, जस्तो चाइनाले बीआरआईको स्थापना 2013 मा गर्नुभन्दा अगाडि यस्तो खालको इन्टरनेसनल लेभलको कुनै प्रोजेक्ट गरेको पनि थिएन, तर अल अफ सडन कसरी यो 150 वटा देशमा त्यसपछि गएर 3000 जति प्रोजेक्ट चाहिँ गर्ने कन्फिडेन्स कहाँबाट चाइनालाई आयो जस्तो लाग्छ हजुरलाई?
चीन एउटा समाजवादी मुलुक हो हजुर, र उसले आफूलाई नै पहिला चाहिँ नि रूपान्तरण गर्ने काममा लामो समयसम्म त्यो केन्द्रित भएर लाग्यो हजुर। र अलि बढी मात्रामा जब समाजवाद निर्माण गर्ने सिलसिलामा उनीहरूले आफूलाई पनि बलियो बनाए, आफ्नो आर्थिक स्थितिलाई पनि बलियो बनाए, फाइनेन्सियल स्थितिलाई पनि बलियो बनाए। त्यसपछि उनीहरूले विश्वका अरू देशहरूसँग पनि सरसहयोग गरेर विश्वको विकासमा कसरी मद्दत गर्न सकिन्छ भन्ने हिसाबले उनीहरूले सोच बनाएपछि यो अवधारणालाई विकास गरेको देखिन्छ। यद्यपि यो अवधारणा चाहिँ उहिले नै धेरै प्राचीन कालमै भनौँ त यो जुन सिल्क रोडको कन्सेप्ट हो त्यो कन्सेप्टमाथि आधारित भएर त्यति बेला पनि विभिन्न कन्टिनेन्टहरूलाई जोड्ने हिसाबले ट्रेडको हिसाबले गरियो, त्यति चाहिँ वस्तु विनिमयको हिसाबले गरियो त्यति बेला। तर अहिलेको अवस्थामा चाहिँ वर्ल्डमा कनेक्टिभिटी कसरी डेभलप गर्ने अनि ट्रेड कसरी डेभलप गर्ने र चाहिँ नि एउटा इन्फ्रास्ट्रक्चरहरूलाई कसरी डेभलप गर्ने र वर्ल्ड इकोनोमीलाई कसरी डेभलप गर्ने, ग्रोथलाई कसरी डेभलप गर्ने भन्ने कुरामाथि केन्द्रित भएर यो अवधारणा आएको देखिन्छ।
हजुर, जस्तो अहिले चाइनाले जुन खालको सपोर्ट गरिरहेछ नि सर, त्यो खालको सपोर्ट जस्तो तिब्बतमा त्यसपछि ताइवानमा त्यो खालको मतलब छैन, एक किसिमको डोमिनेसनै छ नि त होइन। भनेपछि त्यो करुणा कम्प्यासन कहाँबाट आयो र नेपालमा पनि कतै त्यो कम्युनिस्ट डिक्टेटरसिपको चाहिँ यसले चाहिँ लङ टर्ममा त्यतातिर लैजान्छ कि देशलाई भन्ने खालको शङ्का छ नि, यसमा हजुरको के भनाइ छ?
अब मलाई त त्यस्तो लाग्दैन किनभने त्यो डिक्टेटरसिप होइन चाइना अहिले एउटा समाजवादी मुलुक हो समाजवादी मुलुकमा समाजवादी लोकतन्त्र हुन्छ पुँजीवादी लोकतन्त्रभन्दा समाजवादी लोकतन्त्र आधारभूत रूपले नै भिन्न हो अब पुँजीवादी लोकतन्त्रमा हामी एउटा पार्टी आउने अर्को पार्टी आउने यही चेन्जको कुराहरूमा मात्रै हुन्छ उनीहरूले सामाजिक आर्थिक रूपान्तरण गर्न सकेको देखिँदैन खास गरिकन वर्गीय हित गरेको देखिँदैन तर अहिले उनीहरूले चाहिँ जसरी सिङ्गो चीनलाई विकास गरेका छन् त्यो सिलसिलामा तिब्बतको पनि विकास तपाईँले यो विगत 30 देखि 40 वर्षको अवधिमा हेर्नुभयो भने आमूलचूल परिवर्तन गरेको देखिन्छ त्यहाँ है तथ्यहरूको विश्लेषण गर्दा हामी त्यही देख्छौँ र हिजोको एकदमै ब्याकवर्ड तिब्बत अहिले एउटा एडभान्स तिब्बतमा रूपान्तरित छ हाम्रो बोर्डरहरूमा हेर्दाखेरि वारिपट्टि हामी धेरै कैयौँ दशक पछि छौँ तर उतापट्टि हेर्दाखेरि बेगल ढङ्गको स्थिति देखा पर्न थालिसकेको छ त्यसो हुनाले त्यो अधिनायकत्व होइन हाम्रो देशमा पनि उनीहरूले तपाईँहरू आफै छान्नुहोस् आफ्नो प्रोजेक्टहरू केमा सहयोग चाहिन्छ तपाईँलाई हामीले इम्पोज गर्ने होइन र त्यो ढङ्गले छान्नुहोस् हामीले चाहिँ नेगोसिएसनको आधारमा चाहिँ तपाईँहरूलाई सहयोग गर्छौँ
जस्तो सिल्क रोडले नि सर जस्तो अब भगवान बुद्धको टिचिङ फेरि संसारभरि एकचोटि चाहिँ ग्लोरिफिकेसन भएर जान्छ उतापट्टि कैलाश र मानसरोवरको त्यो शिव सभ्यताले पनि एउटा गरिमा पाउँछ भनेर हामीले बुझ्यौँ भने त्यो राइट बुझेको हुन्छ यहाँ के भन्नुहुन्छ
होइन यो त हाम्रा चाहिँ नि पुँजीहरू हुन् यिनीहरू एउटा सांस्कृतिक पुँजीहरू हुन् होइन कैलाश सभ्यता आफ्नै ठाउँमा शिव सभ्यता आफ्नो ठाउँमा छ शिव सभ्यताको पनि भूमिका छ जसले हामीलाई यो ठाउँमा चाहिँ ल्याइपरेको छ अब लुम्बिनी सभ्यता अथवा बौद्ध सभ्यता भन्ने हो भने त्यो सभ्यताले त अझै व्यापक रूपमा हाम्रा चाहिँ नि एउटा मनस्थितिहरू निर्माण गर्ने काममा समेत धेरै ठुलो भूमिका खेलेको छ र अहिलेको विश्वमा वास्तवमा यो दुईटै सभ्यताले विश्व सभ्यता निर्माण गर्ने काममा महत्त्वपूर्ण योगदानहरू पुर्याएको छ र त्यसमा हामीले गर्व गर्नुपर्छ बुद्ध जन्मेको देशमा हामी छौँ र बुद्ध दर्शन बुद्ध सभ्यता भनौँ होइन अथवा हामी बुद्ध धर्म भन्ने गर्छौँ धर्म रिलिजनको अर्थमा होइन बुद्ध धर्म भनेको चाहिँ बुद्धले देखाएको बाटो हो वास्तवमा चाहिँ त्यो प्रकृतिको विकासको नियम ल अफ नेचर धम्म भन्ने पाली शब्द हो त्यो पाली शब्दको अर्थ चाहिँ ल अफ नेचर भन्ने हुन्छ त्यसो भने हामी चाहिँ धर्मको रूपमा बुझ्छौँ रिलिजनको रूपमा बुझ्छौँ तर त्यो अर्थ होइन बुद्ध धम्मको अर्थ चाहिँ बेग्लै
सर अब लास्ट एउटा प्रश्न जस्तो केही क्रिटिक्सहरूले चाहिँ जस्तो बिआरआई र एमसिसी भनेको इट्स जस्ट अ डिभी स्टेटको गेम मात्रै हो जसले ट्रम्पलाई चलाउँछ उसैले पुटिनलाई चलाउँछ जसले मोदीलाई चलाउँछ उसैले सी जिनपिङलाई चलाउँछ इट्स एमसिसी र बिआरआई भनेको उनीहरूकै खेल मात्रै हो जस्ट नथिङ डिफ्रेन्ट पनि भन्छन् यसमा यहाँको के भनिन्छ
यो बुझ्न नसक्ने र कुनै पनि विषयहरूलाई गहिराइमा गएर अध्ययन गर्न नसक्ने सतहमा पौडी खेल्ने त्यो बुद्धि विलासीहरूको कुरा मात्रै हो यो नितान्त गलत 100% गलत कुरा हो यो अब के अरे चीनको दर्शन नै बेग्लै छ होइन उसको एउटा वर्गीय दर्शन हो सिङ्गो विश्वलाई समाजवादतर्फ जानुपर्छ भन्छ उसले होइन समाजवादी व्यवस्थाको पक्षमा छ अब अमेरिका भनेको चाहिँ नि एउटा पुँजीवादको पक्षमा छ पुँजीवाद र समाजवाद आधारभूत रूपले भिन्न चिजहरू हुन् होइन एउटाले पुँजीपति वर्गकै मात्र हित गरिरहेको छ हामी अमेरिकामा देख्न सक्छौँ होइन अमेरिकामा जुन भाग एकदम विकास भयो त्यहाँ स्वर्ग हो भनेर हामीले भन्ने गर्छौँ नि तर त्यो स्वर्ग छैन त्यहाँ अहिले पनि त्यो पुराना थोत्रा कारहरूमा सुत्ने मान्छेहरूको ठुलो सङ्ख्या छ त्यसो हुनाले तर चीनले त गरिबी उन्मूलन गर्यो होइन सारा संसारका सामु प्रष्ट छ त्यसो हुनाले समाजवाद र पुँजीवाद भिन्नै चिज हो र त्यो कसैले चलायो भन्ने कुरा होइन त्यो वर्गीय शासन हो चीनमा श्रमिक वर्गको शासन छ श्रमिक वर्गले चलाउँछ त्यहाँ अब अमेरिकामा या भारतमा पुँजीपति वर्गको शासन छ त्यहाँ पुँजीपति वर्गले चलाउँछ पुँजीपति वर्गका नायक हाम्रो ट्रम्प र मोदीजी हुनुहुन्छ अब समाजवादी श्रमिक वर्गका नायक अहिले सी जिनपिङ हुनुहुन्छ त्यसो हुनाले अलग अलग देशको चाहिँ यो व्यवस्था नै आधारभूत रूपले भिन्न छ
हस् धेरै धेरै धन्यवाद उहाँ हुनुहुन्थ्यो आदरणीय सम्माननीय भूतपूर्व प्रधानमन्त्री श्री झलनाथ खनालज्यू हामी हृदयदेखि नै सरलाई धन्यवाद दिन चाहन्छौँ थ्याङ्क यू सो मच